What is going on, YouTube? This is Lawrence over at Mighty Comics and Collectibles, and we are back with the Hot 10 list for this week, nice and early for you guys. But before we get started, like we always do, guys, if you are not a current subscriber of the channel, and of course you enjoy this video and my other videos, I want you to go ahead and click the subscribe button for me, guys, because it really does help the channel out. And of course, I want you to smash that like button if you enjoy this video. But most of all, I want you to comment down below and let me know what you think of these books. There's some real bangers this week. If you have any of them, would you be buying here at these prices or selling? Always comment down below, guys. Let me know what you think of these books. Of course, I always appreciate everything you guys have to say. On one side note, if you guys haven't checked out my latest arcade video I just dropped last week, I built a classic Nintendo Punch-Out cabinet, guys. It is something that's really cool. Part 1 I just uploaded last week. Check it out if you guys have a chance. We're going to jump right in here at number 10, guys. It is a classic cover by John Buscema, Silver Surfer number 4, an amazing Silver Surfer Thor cover. Now, this is, of course, is the first time that Thor and the Silver Surfer meet. A CGC 9.2 recently sold this week for $9,900, up 90% since this January. Just about a year ago today, guys, we're talking about almost 100% increase on your money. This, of course, is a classic book that I'd be buying 99% of the time. We've talked about it a bunch over the past 6 months. Again, my stepson had purchased a really low-grade copy of this book from my LCS. He no longer has it, but either way, it was a score. I think he doubled his money on this book once he sold it. But either way, yes, this is a book I'd always be buying regardless of the price because it is one of the most classic covers out there, guys. At number 9 this week is a copy of Tomb of Dracula number 10, the first appearance of Blade. Now again, with Blade, we know is coming to the MCU. We got a little bit of a teaser at the end of the Eternals. Either way, a CGC 3.5 recently sold this week for $1,203, up 9% since June of this year. Yes, this is also a book I would still be buying. However, I'd be careful right now with prices starting to trickle down a little bit. I believe Blade will get 3 movies in the MCU at least. So yes, it's a book we could still pounce on. But again, wait for prices to drop. But again, another book I'm always a buyer of, no matter what the price, as long as it's under fair market value, guys. But yes, we're 2 for 2 so far. At number 8 this week is another monster key, Tales of Suspense number 39, the first appearance of Tony Stark and Iron Man. Again, an amazing book, but back in the day, you could have had this book for relatively cheap. I mean, Iron Man wasn't a huge character before the MCU started. People were really into the character, at least, I know I was when I was a kid, but as you get older, people weren't gravitating to this character, later generations. But now, this book has skyrocketed. CGC 3.0 recently sold last week for $13,000, and that's up 31% since just this September, which is actually mind-boggling considering we know that what happened to Tony Stark in the MCU. Not sure why this is spiking, other than the fact it is just a blue chip key, and it's a key that I'd always be buying no matter what. A first appearance of a major character. You cannot pass up these books if you can afford them and if you want to own them in your personal collection if you have the cash for this stuff, guys. Again, another book I'd always be buying. We're 3 for 3. At number 7 this week is a copy of Incredible Hulk number 1, another monster blue chip key. Again, another book I'd always be buying. I'd always be adding to the collection if you guys can find one. This, of course, is one of the rarer keys of these massive blue chip keys for Marvel. Again, I have my copy. I have a CGC 1.8 that I was happy to snag about a year and a half ago, I would say. I actually had a really low grade 0.5 before that I upgraded. And that's how you go about getting these books, guys. You buy them the grade that you can afford, and then when you have the cash to kind of go ahead and upgrade that book, you go ahead and do it. But either way, a CGC 2.5 recently sold this week for $15,600, and that's up a whopping 61% since February of this year. Yes, this book is always a buy no matter what, as long as you can find it. Again, another grail blue chip key you can always invest your money in. Now again, this book hasn't been appreciating much. I would say about a year to 2 years ago, it really hadn't been going up as much as some of the other major blue chip keys. But again, now this book is finally catching up. The first appearance of one of my favorite characters of all time. I was a huge Hulk fan growing up. Him and Spider-Man and the Punisher were my main 3, and my Batman was my DC kid. But again, another book I'd always be buying no matter what, guys. So we're 4 for 4. At number 6 is a copy of Amazing Spider-Man number 51, the second appearance of the Kingpin. Now, this is where we kind of get into like a little bit of a gray area, because the CGC 5.0 recently sold last week for $400, and that's up 5% since October of this year. Yes, I am a buyer of this book, but not for that price tag, guys. CGC 5.0, $400 is a little bit too much to spend for this Silver Age second appearance. Now, I know you could still have a first appearance of the Kingpin for about $800-900. Unfortunately, it would be a lower grade copy of that book, but again, I'd rather put that money to the first appearance of the Kingpin. I don't care if it's a 2.0. It's still a Silver Age book, a Silver Age key. We talked about it last week being a triple threat, with being the first appearance of the Kingpin, with it being a classic storyline, of course being a classic cover by John Romita. So that's the book I'd be buying. Again, I'd be saving up for that first appearance, not the second appearance. However, it is a book I want in my collection, ASM 51. I do have it in my collection. So again, if you could find it for a decent price, I'd definitely pick it up, but not for the prices this book is going for right now, guys. So unfortunately, we didn't hit that 5 for 5, but we're doing pretty good this week. At number 5 this week is another monster key, Amazing Spider-Man number 3, the first appearance of Dr. Octopus. We've all seen the new No Way Home trailers. He's been out there since day one. Dr. Octopus is finally coming back to the MCU, and Alfred Molina is reprising his role. Now, a CGC 1.0 recently sold this week for $1,400, and that's up a whopping 75% since January of 2020. So we're talking about almost 2 years. This book is basically almost doubled in price. Maybe not quite as double, 75%. It's still great investment. And again, I still think this is a book I'd own for the long haul. Yes, I'm a buyer always of this book no matter what. As long as it's complete and as long as there's no resto, I want it in my collection. I'm actually looking for a second copy of this book. It has been almost impossible to find because prices have just gone up so much. Regardless, yes, it's a book I always buy. Yes, I'm willing to pay up for it. I'd even pay fair market value for this book. So again, what are we? 5 for 6? I've lost count at this point. I'm not worried about it. At number 4 this week is a copy of Giant Size Fantastic Four, number 4, the first Multiple Man. Now, I'm not sure why this book is on this list this week. Finally, not a huge key. We have a minor key appearing on this list this week. However, CGC 6.5 recently sold this week for $260. That's up a whopping 192% since June of 2020. That is a massive gain, guys. Almost 200% on your money. It makes me think that is a little bit too much. I'm probably not going to go ahead and shell out $260 for the first appearance of the Multiple Man, even though it is a nice CGC 6.5. Again, if you want to own this book, I'd probably stick to around the 450 range, but I'm nowhere I'm paying that much money for this book. Again, all Fantastic Four keys are going up in value right now, guys, so I can't really poo-poo the fact that we should be buying them, because we should, but you got to be looking for deals on some of these minor keys, because you can't just pay, high dollar amounts of when books are spiking. We can't do it. I'm telling you right now, wait for deals, especially on these minor key issues. It will really pay off in the end if you want to own this book. So again, this is a thumbs down for me. So that's 2 thumbs down this week, unfortunately. But hey, like I said, it's harder with these smaller keys. At number 3, it's not a small key. It is a copy of Amazing Fantasy number 15, the greatest book that has ever been published. First appearance of Spider-Man, first appearance of Aunt May, first appearance of Flash Thompson, the mother of all Silver Age keys. And to me, probably the top 3 book that has ever been printed. To me, it's number 1 because Spider-Man holds a place close to my heart. Either way, a CGC 7.0 recently sold this week. You guys might have a seat for this. $204,000, and that's up a whopping 26% since July of this year. Man, this book is on fire, guys. If you do not own a copy of Amazing Fantasy 15, I am suggesting right now that you sell your entire collection, get whatever money you can for it, and keep saving and saving and saving, and buy one of these if you can. I don't care if it's a 0.5 grade, guys. I'm telling you right now, this is the greatest investment that you can buy in comics right now if you can't afford an Action 1. This is it. This is the key to own right here. Either way, I am happy to secure my copy just about, I would say 7 or 8 months ago. I've had owned other copies in the past. I originally had back in the day, a raw copy that I had graded by CGC in the early CGC existence. So I'm talking about in 2000. I sold that book way too early, and I think I got about $4,000 for it at that point. I went to a con a few years back. I purchased an Amazing Fantasy 15 raw copy that came back rated a 1.5. I sold that to another community member, and he just recently sold that book for a crazy amount that he almost doubled his investment from buying it from me. I picked up my copy, which is a 2.5 graded, signed by Stan Lee, for a ridiculous amount, and that book is almost tripled right now. So if you do not own a copy of this book, I'm always a buyer of this book. If you want one, I'm always a buyer of this book if you want to take this as a long-term investment, because that's what it is, guys. At number 2 this week is a copy of Fantastic Four number 5, the first appearance of Doctor Doom. Now, there are some monster keys on this list this week, and that's how it should be. These are the books that you should always be buying, guys. A CGC first appearance of Doctor Doom in a 3.0 recently sold this week for $9,300, and that's up a whopping 7% since June of this year. A couple years back, I secured my raw copy, sent it to CGC. It came back a 2.0, and I think I paid $2,200 for my copy. I want to say that's probably worth about $5,000 right now, guys. So yes, Doctor Doom is coming to the MCU. I am always a buyer of this big baddie Silver Age key anytime I can find it. Again, another book I'd love to have a second copy of, because this is a long-term hold as well, guys. If you have not jumped on the Fantastic Four 5 bandwagon or the Doctor Doom bandwagon, you guys have waited too long. Yes, I'm still a buyer no matter what, as long as you get it under fair market value. But either way, I start to see little other Doctor Doom keys have already gone crazy. To me, this is the book I'm buying. I'm not buying any other book, any other Doctor Doom book out there for an investment. Save up and purchase this one, guys. Rounding out the top spot is not a major key, and I don't know why this book is number 1 this week. Either way, it is a copy of Avengers number 19, the first appearance of the Swordsman. Now, there's a rumor out there, actually a confirmed rumor, that he's going to appear in the Hawkeye series. I haven't heard that. Either way, CGC 5.5 recently sold this week for $325, up 193% since last December. So again, another book that's almost gone up 200% in such a short period of time. These books kind of scare me when they go up this much in value when they're not major keys. So it tends me to kind of stay away from these books, because I do believe you can get them for cheaper prices in the near future, guys. So no, I'm not buying this one here at this price. Again, I love this cover. I'm not too familiar with the Swordsman. If you want to spec on this book, I'm kind of going to say wait for it to come back a bit. All right, guys? That's it for the list this week, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. There were some really bangers on this list that I love. Some of my favorite books of all time are on this list this week, because I hope you guys take notice of some of the stuff that I got to say, and I hope, like always, that you enjoy this video. So like always, this is Lawrence over at Mighty Comics and Collectibles saying thank you for watching. Subscribe if you're not a subscriber, and I'll talk to you guys soon.